Have you been finding yourself getting lonelier and feeling more disconnected from yourself, from your body, from the world as we continue on through this pandemic? Loneliness is an epidemic unto itself right now. And I want to explain to you the real root causes of loneliness from an energetic level and how it feeds into you feeling unwell in the rest of your body. By understanding the root cause of loneliness energetically, it will empower you to begin to turn it around without having to get to the end of this pandemic, because we truly don't know when that end will come. So it's time for us to start to understand how we can take back the power into our own bodies to heal. And in this video, I'll teach you exactly that. I'm Dr. Jess Bell, and I'm the founder of Energetic Osteopathy. I'm an osteopathic physician with over 20 years of clinical practice experience. And I'm going to teach you how to take the healing back into your own hands so you can feel whole again, regardless of your outer circumstances. So in this video, we're going to start by getting into the true definition of loneliness on an energetic level. And later in the video, I'm going to teach you some tools that you can use, that you can begin to apply right now, every single day, so you can stop feeling lonely and feel better in your body again. So let's get into the true root cause of loneliness, and it's not what you think. To start, I just want to mention that loneliness is not the same as being alone. And being alone is actually a luxury when we can identify how truly to be alone as a recharging, regenerative experience. But so many of us are lonely regardless of whether we're alone or whether we're surrounded by a group of people that we love. I am the queen of being in a group of people, and this was me in the past, and not feeling like I was connected to those people or really to anything whatsoever. And so I came to understand loneliness as a completely different entity because of my own experiences prior to my spiritual awakening, which was an experience unto itself. And in future videos, I'll get into what is a spiritual awakening and how does it manifest in your life and how does it affect you in ways that are expansive and incredible, and also in ways that are really challenging. And the more we can start to understand ourselves as energetic beings, having these spiritual experiences one after the other, the more normal we'll feel in our lives and the more we'll be able to take back control. So really in this video, I really want to get into the loneliness on an energetic level. And so what does this mean? So there's really two reasons that we feel lonely. The number one is the most important, and I'll be sharing a lot about this in this video, and that is that we are energetic beings that are being fed by divine source energy. That's the energy of creation. That is what breathed us into existence. And I want us to get really comfortable. For those of you watching this video, I understand that there are so many different belief systems out there. And my belief system is not a religious belief system. It's a deeply spiritual belief system, and it's an energetic belief system. And the truth is that energy precedes all form. So before we come into an incarnated state, energy moves in. And then there is this divine intelligence that begins to orchestrate an unfolding where that energy actually directs what we become. And here we are, we stand here in human form. And as we are in human form, we're constantly being fed, we're constantly being breathed by this divine source energy. It's not commonly talked about. This is not everyday conversation for so many of us. But what I have come to understand is that as a clinician, I was taught a scientific model of how our human body comes together, and it was incomplete. And once I started to wake up spiritually in my own life, I realized that in order to feel whole and complete, that the understanding of that which breathes us and being connected to that divine source is an absolute essential part of this conversation. So this video is really going to go deep into this source of energy It's a spring, it's a limitless supply of energy that is constantly being pumped through our every cell and into the most minute aspects of you in physical form. And so the number one cause of loneliness is being somehow pinched off from this. And how do we get pinched off from this? We are bombarded with information in our outer world. We are fed fear for breakfast, lunch, and dinner right now on the planet. And every single time that we go into a contracted state, which is something that fear really manifests within our being. When we have fear, when we feel fear, you will feel yourself be pinched off, meaning your body gets small, your outlook on the world gets small, and all of a sudden you feel just like you're not connected anymore. You don't fit in. You're just in your own tiny little bubble of fear. And that is not your true nature. The truth is that we are connected to everything, that we are constantly being fed divine love. And it's so important that we begin to understand now how to take back control and open that connection back up again. Because the second that we begin to pinch that connection off, or that connection just begins to get pinched off because of what we're connecting to in the outer world, we begin the long and lonely road of isolationism. And that is what we're healing here on the planet right now. So the very first way for us to begin to shift out of isolationism, which leads to loneliness, is to understand that this is the case, that this is what's going on here. And then the number two reason why we feel lonely is really because of our limited thoughts and our limited belief system, which is a result of the first source of loneliness. So when we begin to get pinched off from the truth of what we are and who we are and what we're being fed by, then our thoughts actually follow suit. And all of a sudden we believe ourselves to be contracted. And this contraction, meaning when we're not connected to thoughts of love, anything that deviates from thoughts of love, when we believe ourselves to be ugly, overweight, unlovable, when we believe those stories that our minds are telling us, which are really not to harm us, it's just a result of being pinched off from divine source energy, then all of a sudden energy in our system starts to behave this way. And those thoughts, those contracted thoughts, then move into our physical tissues. And this is what leads us to feeling pain and developing these chronic diseases that so many of us on the planet are walking around with right now. So the number one source of reversing this whole process is really remembering who you are and what you're made of. Divine source energy. So catching your limited thoughts and beliefs, and you'll catch them anytime you think something that is not composed entirely of love. So in the next part of this video, I'm going to go into how do you come out of loneliness? What is it that we can do right now when the world is in the state that it's in right now? And the very first and the most important tool, I'm just really going to go into two main tools today because it's a big video. This is a big concept, and I just really want you to be able to focus in on reversing. How can you reconnect again? How can we stop pinching off this flow of divine source energy? Because of course we all want to be connected, right? We all want to feel loving. We all want to feel loving of ourselves and loving of one another, regardless of what's going on in the outer world, because that we can't predict. The only thing that we can predict and control right now is our connection to our source, to our creator. So the very first thing is that it's so important that we begin to heal our wounds. And what are our wounds? Our wounds are any part of us that has come into the physical body energetically that has basically gotten stuck within our bodies. And so many of us have had wounds from our childhood that we don't even know are there. And so, what do you do when you have these unhealed wounds that you don't even know are there? Because what is an unhealed wound? From an energetic perspective, an unhealed wound is any event that you experienced in your life, or perhaps if you're someone who believes in past lives, as I do, anything that came with you into this lifetime that is here to be healed. We all came here on a life mission or many life missions, because I believe we have a lot of opportunities to come back and to complete the cycles of what we weren't able to complete in a past life. So in this now lifetime, we have all these events that have created unhealed energetic wounds within us. Or another way of saying it is, we all have dense collections of unprocessed energy. Because unhealed wounds are, what happens is, we have these events that come in, and this could be something that happened to you when you were in your mother's womb, or when you were so young that you have no conscious way of connecting to it. Perhaps you had a really traumatic thing happen to you when you were only 10 months old, and the energy from that event came in, and it got into your system as unprocessed energy. Because an unhealed wound is unprocessed energy, meaning energy comes into your subconscious body so fast, you can't possibly have it be processed fully through the mind. And so your body stores it somewhere in your body stores it. It's stored in you. And we know from our Newtonian days of understanding our early science classes that we took, that Newtonian physics tells us energy cannot be created or destroyed. It merely changes form. So here we have in our body this collection of energy. It's not going to be created or destroyed, so it's going to hang out for a long time until you go back in there and find it. So why am I talking about all of this? The reason we feel lonely, the reason that we get pinched off from energy, from divine source energy, is because we have these pockets of dense energy in our body somewhere, and it's asking for us to come in. It's calling us in. The body is calling us in so that we can be present with it. And the more that we can go inside of our bodies and move to those parts of ourselves that are holding those dense pockets of energy, the more we are going to liberate that energy just by aligning with it, just by being present with it, just by breathing into it. You liberate it, you process it, you alchemize it, it gets transmuted, it gets transformed into energy that then gets absorbed into your whole system, and you begin to vibrate at a higher frequency. You begin to feel whole again. You open yourself back up again to feel the flow of this divine source energy, meaning you unpinch it. So that's why we're talking about these unhealed wounds. And you might be asking yourself, well, how the heck do I do that? How do I do that? How do I find these pockets of energy that I don't even know where they are? Well, so much is lodged way down deep in the very first center. There's an energetic center in your body that lives at the root of you, pretty much down on the pelvic floor level. That's your very first light center. And in that light center is where we contain a lot of dense energy, because it's the first one that forms. It's the very first energy center that forms at the moment of your conception. And from that, the energy gets fed into the foundation, meaning your skeletal system, your neurologic system, and it's held way down deep. So many people here listening to this video are going to know that they've had problems in the center because you just feel really ungrounded and like you're walking around on uneven terrain, or maybe you've been plagued by physical symptoms such as low back pain, hip pain, knee pain, foot pain, pain on those real foundational parts of your body, those parts of your body that connect down to the earth. And the reason is because energetically you're unrooted, you're ungrounded. And so that's beyond the scope of this video. We'll get into how do we root and how do we ground in a separate video, but I really want to bring the point home that the most important way that we can open up the connection between ourselves and our Creator is to be present in this root, to go way down into the lowest portion of your pelvis and reside with it there. And that's really the most important thing for you to open back up your connection to divine source energy. And why is this? Because that will actually open up your connection to the energies of the earth. And that's why we're here in this physical body and in this physical form is because we wanted to be on this particular planet. We wanted to be fed by the energies of this earth. But if we have energy stuck in our root that is not moving, that's stagnant, that's pinching us off from being able to truly connect, then we're not going to be able to experience the magic of the energy that moves through us. So there is such a huge call right now to heal and to do the inner healing work. And the most important thing for us to remember is that we are self-healers, that we have the ability and the capacity to return all parts of ourselves that have gotten pinched off to the whole system, basically returning to wholeness. And the most important way that we do this is by going in. We go inside of ourselves to heal these unhealed wounds. And the second tool that I want to give you in order to return yourself from the state of loneliness and isolation is to catch your thoughts. Because our thoughts are going to tell us things like, what is she talking about? That's not possibly true. I can't do this. I don't have the tools to be able to understand how to heal myself. That is so not the truth. That is just what your mind has been conditioned to believe, because we have a system out there, our modern medical system, that talks about you in a disease model sort of way and tells you that you have to go to the doctor, that you have to take a pill, that you have to receive some kind of an intervention in order for you to feel well again. And that's just not the truth. The truth is that might symptom alleviate for a very short period of time. But that will numb you. These medications that we have, they are to be used for life-saving measures. But for what we're talking about here, no pill can help you with this. Only you can help you with this. And you are the one who is going to be able to take back control. But when your thoughts become very limited, you have to catch them. When you find yourself thinking something that is devoid of love, when you are telling yourself something that is degrading you, that is downgrading you, that is making you feel less than, that is not the case, because you are a beautiful soul composed entirely of divine source energy. And so these are just the ways we've been conditioned to think, but they are not the truth. So it's important to catch your thoughts here and shift them. What can you do to turn around a thought of that you're not perfect? You are perfect. We're all perfect. We have a lot of dense energy in our systems that are telling us that there's something that just isn't quite right. But it doesn't mean you're not perfect and whole. It just means it's time for us to go inside and start paying attention in a different way. So catch your thoughts, and when you have those thoughts, one really important way that you can really alleviate them is to actually write them down. Get a journal and start keeping track of your thoughts and the ways that they are limited. And so let's just say that you're someone who's always believed yourself to be ugly. That you look at yourself in the mirror and you think, oh my God, well, how is anyone ever going to love me? I'm just so ugly. Well, that couldn't be further from the truth, because we're created by divine source energy. And the way that your physical appearance came together is divinely orchestrated. You're a child of this universe. And so if you tell yourself, you look in the mirror and you look at yourself and all you see is ugliness, guess what you're going to feel? You're going to feel ugly. Why would you choose to feel ugly? Because that is so not the truth. And so it's important for you to catch that and look at the mirror. And even if you don't believe it at first, tell yourself the opposite, because that is the truth. I am a beautiful creation of energy, and my features are perfectly aligned. And so over time, it doesn't matter what your physical appearance looks like, because that's going to change, right? Our physical appearance changes every single day. We have a whole culture of people that are trying to look like they looked years ago. And eventually we're all going to fade. Our outer looks fade, they change. We get wrinkles, we get gray hair, right? Our skin starts to sag and dull. And that's the point here. We're not supposed to stay in these physical bodies forever. But when we can go beyond the surface and feel into the energy that makes us up, then you will be returned to the truth, which is that you are gorgeous inside. And therefore it shines on the outside. So we have to change the way that our thoughts and our beliefs affect the way we feel. Okay, that's the key. It's time to change the way we feel and return to love. That's the only truth there is. So those are the two tools. And I really want you to spend some time thinking about what this message is offering you, because when you can return to the truth, which is you are an energetic being that is entirely made of love, and that it's only our thoughts and our limited beliefs that are telling us that's not true, it's important that we begin to really own that. Because when you can feel more deeply into that and allow yourself to come into your body and be in your body in a way that is so loving and so spacious, breathe into those lowest centers within your body. Go down into the root and just spend some time every single day feeling it, breathing into it, breathing love into it, breathing spaciousness into it. Just by doing that, we'll begin to process those old wounds that are only within you to be seen, acknowledged, and alchemized. So the energy wouldn't be in your body if that weren't the case. It comes into your body only because it is serving you. Every single painful, challenging event in your life gives you dense pockets of energy for you to process at a time in your life when you're able to. And now is that time. It's time for us to heal. It's time for us to heal on a level that is deeper than you've ever healed before. And only you hold those keys to do that healing. Nobody else. I will guide you in every way I can. And that's exactly what I'm doing in my teachings and in the treatments that I offer. So if you found this helpful, this video to be helpful and offer you a different way of living, a different way of seeing, a different way of connecting in, a way to return to your source in order to unpinch that channel so that you can feel whole again, then I encourage you to tune back in. Go over to my website where I have a lot of different offerings to share with you. I offer public group treatments for very low cost where you can begin to feel your energy moving in a way that you never felt it before. I actually can treat you among a huge group of people, and that's what I'm doing now because we're all connected to one another energetically, and group treatments is a really powerful way for us to begin this healing process together. I also have weekly YouTube videos here, so tune back into my channel and actually click on that subscribe button and like this video if it delivered content that you found helpful, and do share it with your friends because we're all in this together. And the more that we can understand who we are on an energetic level and how we've become so separated and so contracted and so full of feelings of loneliness and isolation and pain, the more we can take our power back to heal once and for all. It's the time. So let's do this together. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.